Yeah, let's take the optic cover off and turn on the red dot first.
If you've ever dreamt of owning the Russian 9mm AK submachine gun, also known as the Vityaz, we regrettably aren't here to say that your dream will come to fruition, but we can at least tell you that you can own a semi-automatic reproduction produced by Kalashnikov USA. On today's episode, we're going to go over the Kalashnikov KP-9 pistol, an American-made clone and the closest thing you'll get on the US market to owning a Vityaz. Prior to opening the box of the KP-9 pistol, our expectations were already set a little higher than with most firearms because of our impressions with the Kalashnikov USA KS-12T tactical shotgun that we previously reviewed. And as we had hoped, the KP-9 didn't disappoint. The pistol came in the iconic red case that KUSA ships their firearms in, which is far better than a cardboard box to say the least. In the case was a lock, paperwork to purchase additional accessories such as drum mags, stocks, grips, etc., and of course, the KP-9 pistol and 130 round magazine. Out of the box, the pistol didn't rattle whatsoever, and had no slop in the handguards. The pistol felt nice and heavy, similar to a crank, and has what feels like a nice quality finish. We are also happy to report that our model came absent of canted sights, one of the biggest defects that an AK enthusiast looks for. With that being said, let's get on to some of the features of the KP-9 pistol. Starting with the operating system itself, the KP-9, just like the real deal Vityaz submachine gun, has a 9¼ inch barrel that is chambered in 9mm, is blowback operated, and fires from a closed bolt. Starting from the muzzle and working our way towards the rear, the pistol comes equipped with a muzzle brake that has 3 slots on each side that is held in place with the typical AK pin. The barrel is threaded with a 1/2x28 thread pitch, which is great for those who want to customize their front end or want to run the gun suppressed. For your front sights, you've got a pretty standard setup. The sights are both windage and elevation adjustable and work with the common AK sight adjustment tool. The KP-9 handguards are full-length AKM handguards, so you'll be able to easily locate readily available aftermarket parts or go for wood sets should you desire. The only downfall is that the lower handguards will need a slight but easy bit of modification to fit. On top, you've got the standard AK ladder sight, but calibrated to 9mm ranges. The sight goes in 50-meter increments, starting at 50 and ending at 200 meters. Moving rearward, you've got a 1913 Picatinny rail on top of the AKS-74U styled hinged dust cover, giving you 11 numbered slots to mount your favorite optics. The dust cover has the traditional spring so that when you disassemble, it lifts up and out of the way. And moving downward, you've got the magwell, made of polymer, which some people may take issue with, but that is true to the real Vityaz SMG as well. And also present is the AK mag latch that we AK commoners are familiar with and fond of. While on the topic of polymer and the magwell, we can touch on the magazines. The magazines are also made of polymer, but worry not, the mag lips are steel reinforced. As for the capacities available, you can pick up mags in 10 and 30 round capacities for the sticks. If you'd like to channel your inner Al Capone, 50 round drum mags are also available. Although the Kalashnikov USA magazines are proprietary to the KP-9, they are very close in design to the Vityaz mags. So close, in fact, that if you can locate and afford paying nearly 3 to 4 times the amount that you would for a KP-9 mag, the Vityaz magazines will work in the KP-9 with minor fitment of the magazine tab. For the trigger, it's nothing unique. It's just a standard AK trigger. This may sound negative in nature, but it's actually a good thing because you can use any of the other triggers that are out there, allowing you to customize your KP-9 with your preferred aftermarket trigger. At the rearmost section of the receiver, you've got the hinge point and end cap. The pin can easily be driven out for you to mount a brace or a stock after you file and beg the Crown for part of your Second Amendment back. Otherwise, you can keep it the way that it is and install a sling using the QD mounting point at the very back. You'll see that there's no catch latch on the side of the receiver like you'd find on other traditional side folding AKs. This is due to the fact that the KP-9 has a shortened receiver, and just like the Vityaz, the stock being used is the standard rifle-length triangle folding stock. Instead, you'll find that your brace or stock will have a latch, so to speak, built into it that will allow it to hook to the extended barrel pin just below your rear sights. Lastly, one of my favorite things about the KP-9 that you'll notice, or not notice, are the less conspicuous markings. KUSA did an amazing job, in our opinion, of keeping markings simple and discreet. Unlike the companies that like to use their product as a billboard. This is a simple yet awesome feature worthy
That's
of
all
being
nice.
mentioned. My initial impression after the first mag was that the KP-9 felt great, but the recoil was rather interesting. It felt like the recoil was kicking the KP-9 up and to the left, which I found a bit odd. It could be that I'm not accustomed to the fact that the KP-9 is a blowback AK, or simply because anything meant to be a rifle but fired in pistol form with no brace or stock feels a bit funky to shoot with your arms fully extended. The sights on the KP-9 were just as easy to aim with as any other AK out there. We didn't shoot the KP-9 at distances that required us to try and mess with the range adjustments, but within the distance that we typically shoot, the KP-9 seemed sighted in, right out of the box. The trigger felt as it should, typical of an AK trigger. Nothing out of the ordinary, and nothing that I'd say I'd change right away. I generally like to keep my firearms as stock as possible, unless I absolutely hate something. For our suppressor owners out there, the KP-9 makes a rather good host. We didn't notice any blowback that would make us hate it enough to want to shoot it unsuppressed. The 1/2x28 threads make it effortless to either find or use your current adapters, and while I enjoyed shooting this unsuppressed, it was equally as fun, if not more fun, shooting it with an Omega 9K on the end of it. Unlike other AKs and not suppressing well, I'd say the KP-9 was pretty awesome and very quiet. Now that we've gone over what the KP-9 is, gone over some specs, and how it shoots, let's dive into our customary pros and cons. And because we like to end on a good note, let's knock out those cons first. There really isn't anything negative to say about the KP-9 in general. The things that I feel that some may complain about are things that were purposely done because it's a clone of the Vityaz, or to make things easier for us in the United States, like not having a bolt hold open feature, or the barrel not being threaded in the original pitch. The KP-9 is just a machine that works, a machine that has yet to fail us, and has eaten every bit of ammo that we've fed it. But since it would feel wrong to not list a con, and if we had to pick something because nothing is perfect, we'd list the proprietary mags. Not because they are proprietary, but because they are also expensive. We love that they are extremely close to the original design of the Vityaz mags, but because they are proprietary, there's only one place to get these mags, and if they sell out, you can get stuck waiting a while before you're able to buy more. The mags run about $45 a piece unless you buy in bulk, which to some is very expensive. But it's also worth mentioning that just about every proprietary mag out there is pricey. So let's put an end to the negativity and get on with the pros of the KP-9 pistol, since there are far more of those than there are cons. The first thing we'd like to state is that this is the closest thing that you'll get to owning a factory-produced Vityaz. Many people have been waiting a very long time for something like this to come to the US market, and at a price point that many would be okay with paying. That wait is officially over. And until KUSA came about, we couldn't even rave about a US-made AK. Thanks to them, now we can. As I mentioned earlier, the markings, or the lack thereof. This is a huge pro from me. I can't stand when a company chooses to put large company logos and writing all over their firearms. I get being proud of your product, but everyone knows where they got it from and who makes it. We don't need a billboard to remind us. Thankfully, KUSA did a solid and kept their logo small, almost to the point that you can often overlook the fact that it's even there. Hats off to whomever made that decision. A feature most useful, but less thought of, would be that the KP-9, just like the Vityaz, has parts commonality with the AK-47 and 74 for things like furniture, trigger, and other small parts. If you're wanting to suppress this little subgun, or simply change out the muzzle device for something else, this pistol's thread pitch will make you happy. Instead of something proprietary like the pitch found on the Vityaz, the threads are in the common 1/2x28 thread pitch, which gives you endless options for muzzle devices and suppressor mounts. The rear plate on the KP-9 is easily removed for you to install a folding brace, but also makes converting the pistol into an SBR a true breeze once your Form 1 is approved. But if you'd rather do neither and keep it how it is, the rear plate does feature a QD point for you to mount your sling. To those with experience on the AK platform, they'll find that the KP-9 is right at home, just in another caliber. The KP-9 features the same manual of arms and basically the same takedown and reassembly procedures. For new shooters, they'll find out why people love AK so much, and this pistol will likely lead to an ever-growing AK fascination and ownership of other models, which is great since Kalashnikov USA is soon to release more variants as time goes on. To summarize, the KP-9 is a great addition in the subgun realm of firearms, especially for AK fans. It suppresses very well and shoots great despite us not having a bracer stock mounted. For guys like me who like to keep feeding the crown, the KP-9 pistol is a great SBR candidate with the punch of a pin. And as far as reliability goes, the pistol hasn't failed us, eating everything we've fed it without a hiccup. All of this topped with a good customer support team. Although this is only a T&E gun for us, I'm almost certain that if I get asked if I'd like to purchase it, my wallet will be open before the conversation ends. The Kalashnikov USA KP-9 has been a very fun gun to shoot and could easily be on a top 5 list of our favorite subguns. Anyway, we really hope that you enjoyed our video on the Kalashnikov USA KP-9 pistol. Please do us a solid and give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Other ways to stay connected to us would be to follow us on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, The Average Shooter. Because we take pride in what we do and hope to bring you the best in future videos, if you have any constructive criticism, please offer it in the comments. We're always open to hear of ways that we can improve our content as we strive to make things more enjoyable for our viewers. As always, we hope to see you on the next one. The Average Shooter, out.